Sean Meyers of the Westmoreland Sports Network, joined by Matt Humbert, the head coach of the Belle Vernon area Leopards, just a few days before Belle Vernon hits the road to head down to Acrisure Stadium for the 3A championship. It has a different name on the outside of the stadium, but it's a familiar territory and a familiar stage to you, Matt. Getting back to a WPIAL championship, I'm sure, is one of the biggest goals. How does it feel to get back to play for another title here in 2022?
You know, it's kind of one of those things where obviously it's I don't know if I necessarily say it's a goal, it's an objective. And I think we're all excited that we're there, but I mean, that was kind of the goal from the start. And I know that's easy for a lot of teams to say, but, you know, we truly felt that, we needed to do everything we could to get back there and to hopefully reverse the trend of us not getting anything down there. And, like I said, it's more of an objective that's achieved, and we're hoping that the next objective is the goal.
So you guys make it look easy. I know it is certainly not easy to go out and beat some really quality opponents. Over the last handful of weeks, you knock off Elizabeth Forward, you knock off East Allegheny, and most recently a pretty good Freeport area team, really in lopsided fashion last week. What stood out about that victory against the Yellow Jackets?
I think that victory was a good one for our kids because of the diversification that they show, especially defensively. I thought Freeport did a really good job of trying to do what they could to stop our kids and our plays. We got off hot, jumped up 21-0, and then we got some different personnel groups, and they kind of were able to do some things with some front manipulation that had us need to hit the iPad up a little more frequently than we typically do to kind of see what they were doing. And then once we got into the third quarter, I think we felt a little bit more comfortable with what the kids were doing and what they were seeing. So I think what stood out to me last week was that they just, and we kind of already knew this, I mean, it just confirmed what the thought process was going in against Freeport. It's just they're a very fast team. They're undersized, but very fast, very quick to the ball. They were hard to block at times because of their elusiveness and speed. So, just one of those teams that is extremely overly aggressive in terms of, utilizing what they have with their personnel.
So obviously a lot of attention gets paid to Quentin Martin, to Jake Jetico, rightfully so. They have had terrific seasons, and especially during crunch time, those are the guys that you've leaned upon heavily. But I think your quarterback has really come of age as this season's moved along. Braden Locks not only can throw it, but he can be a real running threat as well. We saw that in the victory against Freeport. How has he evolved?
Yeah, man, Braden's solid. And, I think I've said it many weeks, but again, I'm with the kid daily, so I'm going to kind of know that the average person wasn't. But, he's just a solid component to the offense. He plays with such a slow heartbeat. And his personality, his disposition are just fantastic. I mean, he's just an awesome kid, super reliable. And we haven't ran him a ton this year, but there's times each game where we pick and choose and we let him read some stuff. And he's always done really good at that. So I think he's definitely a weapon. And I think obviously with this being his first year starting, I think every week he just progresses and keeps getting better and better and better. So, we feel that we're playing our best football right now. And that will obviously come into fruition on Friday because we face a very, very good Avonworth team.
So let's talk about after that victory against Freeport area. It certainly didn't come down to the wire. I think you guys had created some separation earlier in the fourth quarter that kind of sealed the outcome. But was it a little bit more subdued, or was it still a lot of excitement knowing they had accomplished a lot, but it's not, as you said, the ultimate goal?
It's funny because I heard a lot of people say, well, that was kind of anticlimactic and whatnot. And I think that's I don't really think it was that game. And I hate to use the word anticlimactic. I don't really know what other word to explain it with, but I think that's kind of just been the mantra all year. I just feel like my kids are different. They're very business oriented. They don't get real high. They don't get real low. They really just kind of operate with that steadiness. Even to the point where I think we really were kind of hard on them, especially coming into the season, because we wanted more emotion, more energy, more passion. And I think the emotion, energy, and passion is there. They just don't outwardly express that. And maybe there's something to it. Every year you have a different group of kids with a different disposition. And that calm, smooth demeanor has kind of worked for these guys. So we kind of just embraced that with it. And I truly think that, we all kind of expected to be back to where we were. There's no hiding that. However, we're realistic enough, contrary to some people, that anything can happen on any given football game, any given Friday. We're realistic that, those teams are pretty good too. They practice pretty good. They're coached pretty good. And we don't take anything for granted. So to answer the question, yeah, it wasn't as I think celebratory as has it been in the past, but I think the goal has really changed. I think in the past, it was just such a scrape and a claw to get to that game. And I think now that we've been there twice, we're not overly ecstatic with getting there, because I think the expectation is getting there. We're just gearing up to hopefully finish. And like I said, Avonworth's not going to make that easy. They're a really good football team.
Yeah, the Antelopes stand in your way, the number 2 seed. And I think that we've known for a while that they would be a title contender, much like your team. When you look at them, what jumps out?
Size, physicality. I think they're one of the bigger teams. I would kind of compare them to some of the size that we've seen early on. I mean, they're not as big as TJ or Penn Trafford, but they're pretty close. I mean, they have some big boys. They play physical. I think Elizabeth Ford was a very physical football game. I could kind of compare some of their kids to their box to Avonworth, the EF. So you're going to get size, you're going to get speed, and you're going to get physicality. I mean, they like to run the football. There's no doubt about it. They got 2 passing threats on the perimeter. One kid's 6'7", one kid's 6'4". So they can sting you in the passing game with the height advantage that they have over most teams. But they're going to line up and they're going to try to run the ball too. And they're diverse. They're multiple. They go from double tight to 21 to 20 to a little spread. So similar to, Freeport in the sense that you got to prepare for a lot of defenses. You got to prepare for a lot of offenses. But I just think they're just a solid unit. I think, if you say what's one thing that sticks out, they don't really have any deficiencies. I think that's the biggest thing for me.
So obviously it's a different environment playing at what was formerly Heinz Field, now Acrisure Stadium. Your team just went through it a year ago. So most of these kids that are key contributors were part of that. Does that help?
Well, it don't hurt. I mean, I don't know how much you rest on it. I don't think you can really rest on anything at this point. We always look in this profession to try to find advantages here and there. And sometimes I think we overthink those things. I don't know if it helps us. I know it surely doesn't hurt us because the kids have been there and been acclimated to it. But I just think it's one thing that really to me, the game will be won in terms of the execution of it, getting down there, kicking the ball off and playing with less mistakes. I mean, really football is all about a game of mistakes. Who commits more, and usually the team that commits more sometimes obviously is the one that's not successful. So, we got the game plans pretty much in place for the kids, and now we just got to trust that they're going to go out there and execute those game plans.
And so lastly, so much of making a WPIAL championship game, especially in football, it's not just the players or the coaches, it's the entire community that embraces this opportunity. And really, it's a special moment for everyone in Belle Vernon area. You have a pretty good sense of that as the athletic director as well. What's the atmosphere like, and what do you anticipate on Friday afternoon?
I anticipate what we saw the past games that we've been down there and whatnot. A lot of people coming out to support. A lot of people that are eager to watch us out there on Friday. But I think we've done everything in our power to just make this as low key as possible, in the sense that minimize the distractions. I know it's tough, man, because it's not easy to get to this point, and it's a long season in a sense. I mean, as short as it really is in retrospect, everything, it can be a long season. And when you prep all summer and all off season, then you finally get here, it's bittersweet because it's such an objective that you achieve, but at the end of the day, it's not the main objective. So I think we've tried to really do a decent job of limiting the distractions, limiting the pomp and circumstances of being there, because I feel like we had that a lot in the past, and obviously it didn't work out in our favor. So we're just trying to really just stick our nose to the grindstone and try to understand that opponent, really in and out, and hopefully if we're victorious, save all that celebration stuff for the future. But, we got to go out and earn that celebration. If the kids want some big celebration, you're going to have to earn it. We're not trying to have it before.
Well, Matt, congratulations on getting back to the championship. And we'll be down there Friday, hoping to be talking to you after a victory against Avonworth.
Absolutely, guys. Look forward to seeing you Friday.
That's Matt Humbert, the head coach of the Belle Vernon area Leopards.